Hello everyone and welcome back to the devlog for Real Communism, my city builder game. It's not been a super productive week, unfortunately. Before we hop into it, please subscribe to the channel if you'd like to keep up with the progress of this game. And if you liked the video, don't be scared to let me know by hitting the like button down below. You can also help by wishlisting the game on Steam. I still can't post links on YouTube yet, so you'll have to search for it. Now let's take a look at this week's progress. This week's work was made up of a few small projects. I started off by redesigning the build UI. Scrolling was getting annoying and I knew it was something that needed to be done anyway. I made a few categories that will be used to define the building options. Then I made a separate UI for each category. Next, I started working on another task that I knew that needed to be done eventually, but I just kept skipping over. Dismissing workers. Assigning workers is a key mechanic for the player. After all, the buildings will require workers to operate. However, just as important is removing a worker from a building so they can be sent to another building. However, this brings with it another issue: production. As of now, the building is required to be full of workers before operations can function. So for the sake of simplicity, I'm just making it to where production is canceled if a worker is dismissed. I may change it to be more complicated in the future, such as maybe taking production down by half if you only have half the workers, but as of right now, keeping it simple like this makes the most sense. The next day was Halloween here in the US, and I'm a father to 5 girls who all love to go ask their neighbors for candy, so no work got done on Tuesday. Wednesday was my 9th wedding anniversary, so I spent a bit of quality time with my wife, but knowing that the real celebration would happen this weekend, I was able to knock out another small project. I added a bit of animation to most of the UIs. Again, this is far from finished, but it's just a small polish on the primary tools that will be used for the player to interact with the game. On Thursday, I worked on adding an animation to citizens that are assigned to work on the farm. Prior to this, the farmers would just stand in the idle animation once they got to the farm, but they need to look like they're doing something. They can't get those food rations for nothing. So I made a crude and simple animation to get started. On Friday, I followed up the farmer animation and added some depth to it. Right now, they're just motioning in the middle of the farm, which isn't very realistic. I built out a simple moving system when I made the cows and the chickens, so I piggybacked off that system and added it to the farmers. Now they will move around the farm and perform the farming animation at set intervals at semi-random locations. Saturday tends to be a really productive day for me, but with an anniversary to celebrate, I wasn't able to put in a whole bunch of time into development. However, I decided to take the limited time that I had and put it into finishing up the farmer animation. They now walk around and perform the farming animation at random intervals at semi-random points, but they're working with their bare hands, and that's no way to control the means of production. So I made a simple rake in Blender and added it to the game. This took a whole bunch of tweaking to get the placement correct, but once I got the placement correct, it worked out pretty well. There's still a bit of clipping when the rake touches the ground, but that's kind of how rakes work anyway, so I'll just leave it there for now. This week was not the most productive. Between Halloween and my wedding anniversary, I wasn't able to put in as much time as I otherwise would have. But that said, I've got Friday off this week, so I'm hoping for another week like last week this week, where I get a lot done. Please check out the Steam page and wishlist the game if you haven't already. It's really the best thing you can do to help me out. It keeps me motivated. It lets me know that people are actually wanting the product that I'm putting all this time into. So if you do have the time and the capacity, please wishlist the game on Steam. And if you want to keep up with the development progress of the game, please subscribe to the channel. This is my #1 source of putting out content for the development of this game. But if you want smaller, more frequent content and updates, you can follow me on X/Twitter at Hayden Marlowe _, and I've also made a TikTok now where you can follow me on TikTok at Marlowe Development. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week.